Welcome to Martin Survival. Today I want to go over one of my favorite bushcraft knives out here in the field, and that is the Mora Companion MG Heavy Duty. So stay with me and let's start our review and field test. All right, so welcome back to Martin Survival. Now, before we start our field test, I want to go over some of the features and the specs regarding this knife. And the first thing we'll start off with is ergonomics. This has a nice rubberized handle, so when submerging this in water, it's going to stay nice and grippy. It almost works like micarta, where it's sticky in a way. So excellent feel to it in all positions. It's very comfortable, no hot spots in the handle. And once again, it's very lightweight, so I recommend wearing this as a neck knife. It's not going to weigh you down at all, and you have easy access if you have to get to this tool very quick. This is a carbon steel, so we want to make sure we maintain this properly. I recommend throwing a coat of olive oil on it, and that's going to reduce the risk of rust and corrosion. The overall length is about 8 3/4. The blade length is about 4 inches, and the thickness is 1/8 of an inch with a Scandinavian grind. And being this is a thin profiled blade and we have that Scandi grind, this is going to perform extremely well and efficient with bushcraft chores, slicing, whittling, and carving. And that is because we are forcing less steel in the wood, and that is going to prevent more friction. So the thicker the knife, it does add a little bit of drag when slicing through material. And this is about where I like my knives, is about 1/8 of an inch thick. So with that being said, this is a highly recommended knife here at Martin Survival, and now we'll start our field test. Now in this field test, I'm going to show you how to build and construct a Promontory peg deadfall trap. And if you don't know about the Promontory peg, this is quite an interesting trap. It has a very unique history and how it got discovered in Promontory, Utah, of course. And it's very interesting. So check that out and Google it. There's quite a bit of information on that trap. It is a very effective trap here in the field. It's almost as effective as the Paiute deadfall. There's a few downsides to it, just like any other deadfall trap. But what I'm going to use is I'm going to use, of course, my Mora knife that I got sent and my Swiss Army knife. Both of them are very, very important things to keep with you in the field when exploring, hiking, or just practicing bushcraft type skills. And the woods I'll be using to construct this trap is a piece of desert willow. And this is not a true willow, so don't get that mixed up. This is in the begonia family. This is an excellent wood to construct deadfall traps. Number one, it grows nice and straight. It does have a little bit of weight to it. It is a hard wood, but the Native Americans would also use this desert willow for bows and arrows. It is very, very flexible, as you can see. It has quite a bit of flexibility to it, but it's extremely, extremely tough. So making a quick snap bow out of this desert willow is what the Serrano, the Cahuilla, and the Chemehuevi did on this land that I'm standing on today. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, construct this trap, and you can use just one stick with this trap, and that's a huge plus with this. So we'll start off by removing all of these little knuckles and knots, couple little branches here. I'm just going to cut right through them, get rid of them, just so there's no grabbing and there's not a lot of friction on this. So we can construct these traps extremely fast if we are in a wilderness living situation. So what I do is I like to pick a side. So I want to figure out what is the straightest piece in this wood, and it looks like this right here is just about where I want to carve this trap. So the first thing I do is I want to push cut a couple V notches into this wood. And we just flip it over, do the same thing. And I usually go about halfway through, and I'll show you why in just a second. We are going to be splitting this wood. And once again, the weight with this Mora knife, it makes things very, very comfortable and easy in the field. Okay, so that should be about good. We have one notch. Then I can flip it over and I can start making my second notch. And we want to go right along with this wood. So about right here, I can start my second V notch. Just like that. And keep on flipping it over until we're about halfway through once again. All right, so that should be about good. We have both of our notches. We have one V notch, we have our second one, and now what I need to do is I need to flip this around to where these are pointing towards the ground, and right in the center I need to carve my third V notch. So I'll start that right now. So what I've done here is I made my two V notches on each side. I flipped the stick directly over on the underside, and in the center of these two V notches, I created another one, identical to the other V notches I carved in the beginning of this video. So now what I want to do to finish up this trap is I want to saw about 1.5 inches to 2 inches down from both of these V notches and start processing our trap, and then it'll be ready to go. So let me go ahead and start that right now. And same thing, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches down. So a minute ago I let you guys know that this Promontory peg is very efficient and effective in a long time wilderness living situation or a short-term survival situation. And I'll show you why right now. It took no time to carve out these 3 notches, and it took me very little time to saw through both of these ends if you're working with the proper tools. Now remember, if you don't have a knife or you don't have a Swiss Army tool, you're going to have to resort to what the land has. I've seen basalt up on the drier side of the mountain. I've seen a few pieces of quartz. So we can make stone tools, but it's going to take twice as long. So having the proper knife and the proper gear out in the field is extremely important. So now we can go ahead and finish this out. And it's very, very easy. All we want to do is I want to take my fingers and I want to place them on the underside of our single V notch, as you can see here. And all I do is I start pushing this wood out, just like this. And you want to go slow. You do not want to rush these traps. You don't want to have any unnecessary breaking or ripping of this wood. Now this is still a little bit wet, as you can see, and I mentioned it is a flexible wood. We would really want to make these traps with a nice dry piece of wood. So we have one trigger, as you can see. I'm just going to set that to the side. Then we do the same thing. We just start breaking this out. Just like this, very slow and very careful. Alright, so now we have our peg and we have our bait stick or our trigger stick. So we'll set the peg to the side and I want to start shaping out my bait stick. I don't need this much, as you can see. I want to shrink this way down. So what I do is I just carve nice deep cuts in this wood, just like that. Okay, so that's about the size I want it. So we have one trigger, just like that, and I can set that to the side. And we have our other trigger, and I need to do the same thing. Okay, and we'll clean this up a little bit. We want everything locking and forming together once again. Just like that. Okay. Take off a little bit more material on the bottom here. Another way to use a knife is something that I like to do. It's very controlled cuts, and it's also a very comfortable grip, and that's called chest lever. It's a chest lever grip, excuse me. So what we want to do is we want to position the knife towards our knuckles. We want to grab it very firmly and place our thumb right on the grip. And now what we can do is we can take that knife just like this to where we position it towards our chest. We're still cutting away from our body, but our cuts are now controlled using our shoulders. So this is a very controlled cut once again. So we just do that. We just pull back on our shoulders. And that helps tremendously when we want to get in there and do a lot of fine carving. And once again, you can see I'm using my shoulders to push back and slice through that wood. Just like that. Now I want to just create a little bit of a seat on each one of these trigger sticks. We're just going to set up one trap right now for demonstration. We won't be killing or harming any animals. So now my trap is carved down and it's ready to be set, and I'll do that in just a second. But I want to take you through this bait stick, and this is very, very critical when setting this trap. As you can see here, we process this down to where it almost tapers down into the bottom of this trap. Just like that. You can see it's rounded off, and I have about 1/8 of an inch to seat this trap. And what that's going to do is this is going to make it extremely sensitive. So once that animal nibbles on this bait stick, it's going to come apart and crush it. Now let me show you how to set this up. As you can see, our trap is set up and ready to go. Another very important factor with this trap is the bait positioning. I want to wedge the bait in between the bait stick and the support stick. That's going to have the animal really fighting and working for its meal. So the animal is traveling through, it smells that bait, and you can see what happens. The trap is released, the animal is crushed, and we have ourselves a meal. Alright guys, so that's just about going to wrap things up for me today. Once again, on the Mora Companion MG Heavy Duty Knife. My overall thoughts, this makes an excellent camp knife, bushcraft knife, and survival knife. For the price point at about $20 here in the United States, you cannot beat it. It feels very comfortable in the hand. It's lightweight. The thin profile and the ergonomics of this tool, along with the blade geometry, makes slicing and carving excellent with this tool. And you know what? After all of that use, it is still razor sharp. This is definitely hair popping sharp, so it does hold an edge for quite a while. Excellent tool. We highly recommend it here at Martin Survival. So I do appreciate you joining me for this video. I'm Jeff with martinsurvival.com, and we'll see you in the next one.